Welcome back to Create Paradise. In this video, you will learn how fabric is made. I will show you the cross and lengthwise fabric grain, and I will break down the 3 most common fabric weaves. This is important to understand in order to choose the correct fabric for each sewing project. I will also talk about the true bias and show you how to find it on your fabric. You will need to know this when you are placing patterns on the bias. Fabric weave types. There are 2 main types of fabrics. One is called woven and the other is knitted fabric. Woven fabric is made by interlacing yarn, while knitted fabric is made by interlooping yarn. Today I will focus on woven fabric and I will cover knitted fabric in another video. Woven fabric is usually made by a plain weave, a twill weave, or a satin weave. Now let's look at the cross grain. The cross grain is the thread that runs perpendicular to the lengthwise grain. The thread that runs across the grain is often referred to as the weft. The cross grain has a little more stretch than the lengthwise grain. Straight grain, also known as lengthwise grain. The grain of the fabric is always parallel to the selvage edge of the fabric. It is sometimes referred to as the warp. The selvage edge is a neatly woven edge running lengthways on opposite sides of the fabric. The thread that runs in the lengthways direction is the strongest thread and has the least amount of stretch. True bias. You may have heard of this term, fabric bias or true bias. The fabric bias is at a 90-degree angle to the cross and lengthwise threads. If you want to find out the true bias, fold the grain of the fabric in a 45-degree angle. The fabric bias always has more stretch and gives more easily than the cross and lengthwise grain. You can use the bias when your garment requires draping, contours, or if the garment does not require darts. If you need to place your pattern on the bias, you will find the information on the pattern instructions. A plain weave is made by passing the crosswise thread under and over the lengthwise thread. A plain weave is often used for printed fabric because the texture of the fabric does not interfere with the print design. Twill weave. A twill weave is made by passing the crosswise thread under and over at least 2 threads going in the lengthwise direction. This particular weave forms a groove across a fabric bias. This is particularly visible on the right side of the fabric and gives denim its distinctive look. A satin weave is made by passing the crosswise thread under and over at least 4 threads in the lengthwise direction. This causes the fabric to have a shine. Woven fabric characteristics. Fabric that has been woven will fray at the edges, and the looser the weave, the more the fabric will fray. If you have chosen loosely woven fabric, keep in mind that it is not as durable as a more tightly woven fabric. Fabric weights. There are different types of fabric weights and they are used for different purposes. The most common types are lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight fabrics. Lightweight fabric can be found around 140 grams, but it also can be lighter and heavier than that. Medium weight fabric can be found around 200 grams, that can also be found lighter and heavier than that. Heavyweight fabric can be found around 500 grams, but it can also be lighter and heavier than that. If you want to learn more, then don't forget to subscribe to have access to my latest tutorials. I also cover a lot more important sewing information in my sewing patterns and sewing magazines. Each magazine comes with a large range of insight pages. You will learn how to change presser feet, how to use different presser feet, how to change a sewing machine needle, understand the grain line, understand fabric layouts, how to set up your sewing machine for different stitches, how to sew corners, and so much more. Each topic has its own individual page dedicated to learning that topic, so you can gain an in-depth understanding of everything you will need to learn for each project and many more to come. I am dyslexic, so of course all my patterns and magazines are dyslexia friendly. I hope this video was useful to you. Have a great day and I will see you in the next video.